It's February 2010 and here we are in central London to hear from some of the world's leading experts in customer engagement. We're here at the Engaging Times conference where over 400 senior marketing professionals from some of the biggest brands right across Europe have come to hear from these experts. Let's hear what they have to say.
Traditional marketing, in terms of pushing outbound messages to consumers or people that you think might be interested in your product and expecting them to respond to that, the time is over for that kind of communication.
What's going on now is the beginnings of a generational change. The next decade is going to be so exciting because we're moving from innovation of many of these technologies and media to mass adoption. Now, as that happens, it changes the way we do business, and in many ways it may well change the way we live our lives.
Companies who don't engage will be investing their marketing budget in an unproductive way, and an increasingly less productive way.
Consumers now choose what they listen to, they choose what they read, they choose what they watch on the TV. When they want information, go to the internet and find it. And they're going to trust peers and user-generated content more than they're going to trust corporately generated content.
For years, we've been living with focus groups, right? 20 people in a room, maybe 20 rooms over 20 people, and then we'll look at a product or service and say what they think about it. Well, now we've got a sample of literally, like you say, billions of conversations. Alterian stores over 3 billion conversations on the social media landscape over the last couple of years. You can go and look at those conversations and see what people are really saying. That's not a focus group where you're controlling the environment. That's how your product or brand is being perceived in the real world, and that's why it's important.
What we found in our survey was that 62% of individuals believed that companies were only interested in selling to them, not even selling them the product that was most appropriate for them. Which is pretty damning. Additionally, we found that just 7% of individuals believe companies always act in their best interest, and only 13% believe that companies are at all genuinely interested in them. Now, what this is indicating is that companies basically don't appear to be listening to people, don't appear to be questioning, and don't appear to be trying to understand enough to find a good fit. In other words, the dialogue isn't taking place.
The first thing we built when we started the business was a website. Then we had a public press conference using traditional media and web bloggers and everything else. We went out and told the world we were doing it. And by the way, if some of you come back and make a deposit, we'll actually go on and build this thing. And we need to get $10 million in deposits. Let's get them going. We ended up with a website which has now got nearly 90,000 people on it who'd like to fly in the future. We've got 324 paid up customers, so half the first year's operation. We talk to them all the time with their own internal social media site called Spacebooks. We know exactly what they're thinking and doing and wondering about the project, which allows us to then think about how we communicate to the outside world. So this really has been what I call a word of web business.
Nike has led the way as one of the first to consciously, seriously divert money from traditional advertising to engagement with their customers and prospects. And they announced it back in, I don't know, it was 2005, somewhere back there. They said they are going to no longer follow what has worked for them so well. Can you imagine any brand advertiser who has done such a great job of building confidence with what we used to call brand advertising and endorsement by celebrities, sports celebrities in their case? They said that's not going to do it for us in the future. And they took that money, and where did they put it? They put it into technology. And they came along, and their people, IT people, built a little device you stick in your shoe, and then worked with Apple and other of the great innovators to enable the runner to clock the miles and the time, and to put all this on the web so that they could see how they're doing and how they're progressing. They invested in technology that enables their website to coach you. They invested in technology that enables runners to be part of a group that runs regularly under auspices of Nike and competes. 200 million miles have been run by those friends of Nike.
If you think about a newsletter that you might send out as an organisation every week, well, that newsletter's probably got space for 4 or 5 things you could talk about. Now, right now, a marketer using their skill and judgment will try and choose the 5 things they think are most relevant at this particular point. But how about that newsletter use the information about what you've been browsing on the website last week and your product history in order to give you exactly the information that you might be interested in? Now, that's going to be a much more effective communication. Maybe you'd bother reading that newsletter more than once a quarter if every time it came out, it kind of had things that were relevant to you. That's what we're trying to do with mass individualization.
Marketers have understood that there is a fundamental change in the way that they need to communicate with their audience and the benefits that that can bring. And that's been a long time coming. And I think it's driven partly by the recession. It's driven by the need to demonstrate success in marketing activity. And it's also brought about by the rapid growth of social media, which means that, you know, organisations have something very important they need to deal with right now that maybe 2 years ago wasn't there.
The companies that really get this right over the next 10 years are going to play a much bigger role in the lives of their customers. They will be far more significant as brands than they have been. Consequently, they will obviously be selling them more product, they will be more involved with them. They will obviously still be looking for new customers, but they're much likely to have very, very high retention rates. So we're likely to see companies that are built around providing very broad services to people that are all about being very, very close to the individual. Very exciting set of possibilities.
Do you have the technology in place to get engaged? Because if you don't, all your brilliant ideas about how to listen to that customer, all your brilliant ideas about how to get that customer into some long-term loyalty program, all your brilliant ideas about how to cross-sell, upsell, new sell is going to have to be on hold because you can't do it without the technology.
So thinking about all of the presentations that we've heard today and the interviews that we've done and conversations that we've overheard, there's one very clear theme that runs through everything today, and that is that the world of communication, the way people give and receive information, has fundamentally changed. And that's changed the rules of marketing. Any corporate marketing department, and in fact any marketing professional, needs to be now thinking in terms of customer engagement, and that's a very different game.